Welcome back. The last exciting episode we covered the powder charging assembly and the general procedure for setting the double discs up. Let's move on now to the third station, and that would be for the bullet seating die. First of all, let's discuss the bullet seating die. Generally, most manufacturers' bullet seating dies for the rifle category cover two functionalities. The primary function is to align and seat a bullet into the case mouth, and the second possible function, which is optional, is the crimping of a case mouth around the bullet. However, we're going to cover that in the bullet crimping die in the fourth station, so that procedure will not be used with this particular die. The first thing we'll do is, I strongly suggest to place a index mark. I use a Sharpie, which is removable with a swab of alcohol, but a Sharpie to index just at random any position on the top of the bullet seating stem. That will allow you to make turns on the stem and have an understanding of where you are as a reference point. We'll begin by indexing to the third station, and because we need the clearance, we'll simply rotate the powder assembly out of the way and begin placing the die in position. And at this point, we'll take a case, place it into the shell holder, and then run it up. Thread the die down fully until it comes to a complete stop. Be sure to observe whether it's a complete stop on the case or just a interruption due to a thread burr. Make sure you're down all the way onto the case. Now from that point, watch using the flats on the die as a reference point. Turn 180 degrees back and then lock your die down. That 180 degree turn will raise the crimping section of the die off the case mouth, so that if you have any slightly longer cases, you won't have any crimp. With the die screwed all the way down onto the case and the lock nut screwed down tight, you can retract the ram, and that's the end of that section. And the next step will be to seat a bullet. I picked from the many variable options, I've picked a 55 grain Sierra boat tail. Boat tail bullets, by the way, are very, very easy to seat because of the taper on the end of the bullet. Begin simply by placing the bullet on top of the case, and then carefully guiding it up into the die. Notice now that the bullet seating stem is fully retracted. Turn it down until it contacts the bullet firmly. Lower the ram, and using the index as a reference point, I want to go down at least 2 full turns. 1, 1.5, 2, and then check that for depth. Now, referring to the manufacturer's specifications for the maximum overall length, and various ways have been used to specify this length. You may see it as OAL for overall length, COL cartridge overall length, and in this case COAL. For the hollow point boat tail 55 grain Sierra, it's specified as a maximum overall length of a minimum of 2.240. That is a minimum. In other words, you don't want to have the base of the bullet encroaching upon the powder chamber too deeply and raising pressures. So we'll measure that now, and we're quite a ways from it, but in terms of the thread turns on the die, it won't be far. So we'll turn it down about a quarter of a turn, see how much that gives us. Turn it 1/4 of a turn. Take a measurement. And that only moved us by about 12 points on the dial. So we've got to come all the way back to the 4.0. We'll give it a go with a, you can see it, the amount that we moved it was with a quarter of a turn. So a quarter, we'll try a little over half a turn. That should get us there. And it's best to be a little bit conservative. You can always go more, but you can't return it. I've gone 180 degrees. And that, as you can see, moved us very close to the specified length. Now at this point, you can stay at this length if it feeds through your magazine. Remember, this is a minimum specification. It's always best to have the bullet somewhere as close to the rifling if you can achieve that. We will, in this case, however, though, move it to the 4.0 position. In making my final turn, we're now exactly where we want to be, 2.240. Again, whole books can be written on cartridge overall length for individual rifles, but we're going by the manufacturer's specification for this bullet for the time being. And the last station is number 4, is the bullet crimping position. This station is only used if you have a the factory crimping die. This particular die has a collet inside which squeezes the top of the case mouth into the brass rather than crushing it downward. By squeezing it in, it achieves the same type of crimp that is used at a factory, and it's a very efficient crimp because even if the bullet doesn't have its own canalure, that is a groove around the bullet, it will create one. Simply back off the lock ring, start it into the turret, raise the ram, and screw it down fully until I have firm contact. Now at this particular point, the base of the die has contacted the shell holder. This will initiate the squeezing action of the collet in a tapered, the tapered die body. Now this is an adjustment that you can do as you watch. Looking down into the top of the die, you can see the collet, the segments, and you just continue to screw the die down very, very slowly, raising the ram after each movement, and then checking the spacing. Complete crimping is accomplished when those segments nearly touch one another. Right now there is no crimp, so there is a very small difference between a full crimp and no crimp at all. And you don't want to turn that die very much, and be very cautious to never bring those segments together because you can snap and destroy the collet inside. Now I've turned the die approximately 180 degrees, and as you can see, the collet segments are practically touching one another. There's just a few thousandths of an inch space, and that's with the ram fully pressed downward. I wouldn't go any further than this. This is the maximum crimp, and it will actually emboss the case into the side of the bullet. Let's take a look. That case has been completely crimped around the bullet, and the bullet has absolutely firm contact with the case, meaning that it will withstand any kind of violent activity within the magazine. If you've got a autoloader with a extended, say 20 or 30 round magazine, this might be the type of crimp that you'll use if you have difficulty with bullet retention. This will prevent the bullets from sliding deeper into the case. However, having said that, typically a very light degree of crimp is all that's necessary to give you uniform velocities and uniform ignition. I would say probably less than a third of a full crimp is all that's necessary. When you've arrived at your desired crimp, again, as all the other dies, turn the lock ring down, and that's the end of it. And I hope this was helpful to you in this entire series. And I will have more on individual loading procedures later on. Bye-bye.